Hey friends, Jewel back with another super cool astrology video. I want to talk about the opposition between Mars and Neptune today. What happens when we see this steamy aspect? So, in composite charts, we're talking about a blending. How do people put their ingredients together and what kind of cake they bake up? So it's the more long-term relating that we're really examining when we look at a composite chart. How we feel about each other, how we're, why we're attracted, how our different components connect is the synastry, the day-to-day interaction. But the composite chart is the larger overview, is the natal chart, the natal chart of the relationship itself. So when we see Mars, which is a couple's assertiveness and how they go after something, it's our ego and our need to be right drive and the aggression between two people. Where is that going and how is that being used? How are they blending in the context of how they get what they want? When that's opposing Neptune, which is wishes, no boundaries, forgiveness, sinking into the all, avoidance, romance, anything that is not realistic, and things that are of the 12th house, so, you know, spiritual or difficult to get a hold of. When these two are opposing in a composite chart, we are very, very attracted to each other, but we are often also not compatible in other areas. Now, we can be. This can show up in functioning composite charts. Typically, it shows up in non-functioning composite charts because the reason that we have this aspect to begin with is because the people usually, there is an unconscious component that goes into them desiring to have this kind of relationship. It's feeding into something that they have already got going on in their own psychology. So it's really common to see people that are very, very attracted to each other because this shows sexual idealization. It does not show compatibility on any level. So there is an urgency when we have this opposition to getting together, and it can make us feel or put thoughts into our heads and feelings into our loins that make us very much believe that we have found our sexual ideal, or we have found somebody that is a very good fit when it comes to what we're looking for in a raw sexual way. So this one can have a lot of fantasies going on between two people, and we typically don't see each other's Mars clearly. We don't see each other's aggression clearly, not in the beginning. And this is one that does reinforce weaknesses, escapism tendencies, addictions. We enable each other with this one. And we don't tend to build each other's strengths. We weaken each other. Neptune is a force that always takes away or weakens or robs a planet, especially an inner planet, of energy or willpower, because it is about the non-material and about what is let go of, or what you see from the huge big picture. And so details and boundaries are not Neptunian. So what this does is it robs us of our boundaries and of a lot of our ability to say no it has an effect of reinforcing addictions between each other. So those addictions can be different things. We don't help each other to grow in ways that are not, you could even say damaging in some ways, because it has a weakening effect on us. So couples where one, has an addiction and the other one provides a platform in order for it to continue, you will see that going on with this particular opposition. Because it does blur our sense of boundary or forgiveness, acceptance, allowing. That isn't clear with this opposition. Another thing we can see is a certain amount of deception, because there is a certain amount of self-deception that translates to a mutual deception, because we aren't willing to see things clearly with this opposition most of the time. There is a certain amount of willingness, because Mars is our willpower, it's our will, it's our ego, it's our need to be right, it's our ability to go out and get something. So when that is focused in a way that is opposing a planet, that means lack of clarity, lack of boundaries, a lot of times out and out deception, we are blending in such a way that we're willfully deceiving ourselves. And this translates to often one of the partners willfully deceiving the other. When we have the square between Mars and Neptune, it's typically both people that are acting in more dishonest or not completely transparent ways. But when we have the opposition, a lot of times it's one person, or it's one person at a time, that's doing the deceiving, or that's doing the acting out, or the behind the scenes, whatever Neptunian behaviors are we have going on. So when we have this opposition, the way that we solve it is that we have to be willing, Mars, to see what's really going on in the relationship. We have to be really, really willing to blow the fog out and starkly and concretely face what is going on in that relationship. And then we have to come to a place where we are not morally judging it. Because we have Mars and Neptune here, and Mars is the need to be right and the need to be on top and the need to win. And Neptune is the opposite. Neptune doesn't care about winning. Neptune is about everybody gets a chance and complete acceptance. And so we have two very opposing forces here. We have, a planet, Mars, that naturally rules the first house of things that are very known and conscious. And then we have Neptune, things, the natural ruler of the 12, where things are very unknown and unconscious and dark and, hidden. And so we have the known and the unknown here, trying to balance in a relationship. And so we've got to be really honest about what we're looking at and about what we're doing. And we have to not be judgmental, because when the Mars comes out, this is why the Neptune is hiding in the first place, is because there's a fear of judgment. There's a fear of feeling wrong. There's a fear of having the Mars, almost of attack, of Martian attack at that, from the other. And so there is this natural way where adults are going to get their needs met. And in this case, there's a way that we get it done that where we're not giving up what we have, but we're still getting that need met, and we don't want to be judged for that. We don't want to be seen as bad for that. And the more that that climate exists of judgment or of I'm on top or of I knew it, then the more that creates the chances for the acting out of the partner in Neptunian ways. And so it is really important that when we have this opposition, if you want to make this work, because first of all, you may want to consider if this is one that you really want to invest in, if you have other things that are otherwise not great. But if this is one that you want to work with, then we have to be really extremely forgiving and allowing and non-judgmental when it comes to what is going on in the relationship. And if we can have that broad view, and if we can be forgiving, and if we can see what the other person's side really is, and sometimes go way out of our comfort zone when it comes to what we think is okay, that can provide the alchemy for honesty to come into the relationship, because now the two people feel like, and especially the one person that was acting out, sometimes we can take turns doing this, can feel that they are in a place where there is an acceptance that wasn't there before. So where they were trying to hide or felt that they had to be dishonest in some way, now they can feel like they can come out and they can have a certain amount of understanding that before, because they were afraid of that that Martian attack, that they felt that they couldn't be honest. They couldn't show what was really going on. So it's a tricky aspect to understand, and it isn't for everybody. Most people that find this opposition in their charts, it's not going to translate to a healthy relationship, and you don't really see this in happy, functioning composite charts. You do see it sometimes in long-term relationships, you do, but they are not generally happy or healthy long-term relationships unless we've done our work. This can be solved, and this is one that is best addressed in couples therapy rather than in group therapy. There are some aspects that do better the opposite, where you really have to start with the individuals, where, you know, couples therapy is not going to touch that problem. This is not that. This responds extremely well to couples therapy, where we have a very accepting and broad-minded counselor that is very well versed in addictions, and a lot of times sexual addictions, because this is also one that can bring those out between two people. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, please subscribe to my channel. You can find me on the internet at truthandaspectastrology.com, Facebook and Instagram, other social media at Truth and Aspect Astrology. I'm mainly a relationship and intimacy astrologer, but I interpret all types of charts under the sun. And please find me on Patreon, and I'll be back super soon with more super cool videos. Bye-bye.